If you could completely remove one company from the world, which one would it be? Elsevier. Fuck them for barring the wide release of scientific studies. Really, the academic journal business is about slowing the dissemination of knowledge and forcing scientists to pay money to listen to what other scientists have to say. Every scientist knows they can ask for the papers directly to the authors and they give it to you. But I imagine the schools waste a lot of money keeping that information available on their computers for people to use. Edit. By wasting, I mean that they are basically forced to pay for it, something that should not be charged at all. Even though you can always ask for a paper from the author, in many cases you need to look through dozens of papers in a short period of time. So you don't have time waiting for authors to answer you. All hail C-Hub. C-Hub has been blocked here in Sweden. Super annoying. F***CKLCVR. Say hello to VPN. Also, it constantly changes its domain. Primerica or Herbalife. Students at my high school are advertising for these companies and some of my friends are buying in. Is this like those Cutco knives? That shit was rampant at my high school. It's literally the same thing. They are called multi-level marketing companies or MLMs for short. They are legal pyramid schemes. Not even the government can tell the difference as shown by some papers. Why are they legal? Good question. I have no idea. You are more likely to break into a profit by aggressive gambling than being part of an MLM. It's ridiculous and yet people still fall for it, and they brainwash people into impulsively following what's basically a cult. Ticks a lot of basic cult checkmarks too. I see a lot of comments here where editors mention how hard it is to track what brands belong to the various companies out there, and honestly, agreed. There is this illusion of choice in so many consumer goods that ultimately trace back to like 10 major corporations. I'm not perfect and sometimes convenience comes into play more than I'd like to admit, but after digging into Nestle over the years and becoming increasingly disgusted that a company could be so generally evil, I found this app called Updoot that lets you scan barcodes of certain products and highlights things like the illusion of choose and shows what big company it's from, whether the company violates human rights, equal pay, etc. It's not easy, and I'm sure it has flaws. But it's a start. Just wanted to share. We have all the power as consumers to just walk away. Edit. Remind me not to fall asleep immediately after I post something. Thanks for the gold. It's my first and honestly I definitely fall on the side of the lurker on Reddit. One must listen before they can talk, so thank you. I do apologize that I didn't clarify that I was in the United States, and honestly, knowing that some of these companies were global, I guess I assumed it would be on a global scale. Definitely my mistake. For those telling me, but who owns this app, or please don't use this app, because Google and Facebook will take all your information and use it to sell you things, I say, you're right. I don't know who owns it, but I'm trying to educate myself in some way, shape or form in order to become more aware of the world around me. It's a start. I said it wasn't perfect. As for Google taking all my information, well, I live in a metropolitan city and I used my smartphone for pretty much everything. It's an inherent part of my life. It scares me shitless what these companies will do with the power we've given them, but considering we have free use of the internet and can use things like Reddit to talk to each other, I'm also grateful that it's a tool in my life. Until the new generation of government comes into play, one that can actually understand the internet, IDK if we can really expect change. So why not educate yourself, so that if the right parties get in power, you understand the issues more than you did yesterday, or maybe run for office. Someone below said, and I'm paraphrasing, the almighty dollar doesn't have power anymore because of the illusion of choice, and consumer power doesn't exist. I have to say Reddit really bums me out sometimes. I work in an industry that's near the CPG world, and let me tell you, the almighty dollar is king. Use your money wisely. If a company tanks, and truthfully tanking is like 1 percentage point decline because they have people to answer to, they will pay attention. I'm not naive enough to forget how global these companies are, and that living in certain areas of the world is a privilege, as there are alternative ways to get goods. But just try and pay attention. It's not going to be easy or convenient, but it's possible to also demand change. Edit 4. I'm learning so much. Wow. Thank you all for taking the time to respond. I'm humbled by some of the povs on here and a bit scared for our future. or the ones that make money in the name of cancer and make money advertising help for children with cancer. I'm so tired of them taking money from good-hearted people and only 0.05% of it goes towards actual cancer cures and treatments. Looking at you, Susan G. Komen Foundation. I work for a company that sells pink stuff and stuff with ribbons on it too, but a lot of people tend not to donate. If we donate to SGK, we don't donate to SGK. Instead we donate to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Cumulatively my company donated over $1 million alone during FY 2018. NBCF had 16 meters in funds last year. Over 80 went to programs. Only 16% went to management and expenses. Of the $14 million for everything else, $1.1 million went to research, which isn't much, about 7%. But they also partner with hospitals for education and patient services, mammography clinics and patient navigators, education, and support groups. Be very careful. SGK spends a significant portion of its money on suing companies and charities for trademark theft. It's kind of their shtick really. Breast cancer is a cancer and all, but there are cancers that need more funding. Breast cancer is one of the easiest cancers to treat. We need help with lung and pancreatic cancers, head and neck. I hate how breast cancer is the most funded, next to childhood leukemias, because it's easier to market. All cancers are important. I'm going to go with the one with whom I have the most debt. I'll be honest, I don't think closing college is the best idea. Edit. This comment was a joke to illustrate the absurdly high cost of institutions. Yes, I know that student loans are owed to a financial institution, often backed by the government. Student loans are the only loans that you can't wipe with bankruptcy though. You have to admit that's a little fucked up. So pay your entire tuition on credit cards and then declare bankruptcy? I think I remember something about not being able to pay my college tuition on a credit card, but there are ways around it. Brilliant. Take a personal loan out to pay it off and then declare bankruptcy. The creditor could definitely fight against having that particular loan discharged and would probably win depending on circumstances. Incurring debt with the intent to discharge with bankruptcy is considered fraud, and the bankruptcy proceeding is incredibly nitpicky when it comes to shit like that. There is a parking company at my campus called Campus Park. They're assholes that camp by your car waiting for your time to run out. I'd get rid of them. I love that in Finland you could just not pay parking companies. I don't know if the situation has changed, but it used to be so that technically only the police/city/state were qualified to fine people. So parking companies existed just to bait people into paying fines, and you could just tell them to go fuck themselves. To clarify, they could fine you, but they couldn't really do anything about it. If you refused to pay, they'd just send spam mail to you, and after ignoring it for long enough they'd just stop. These days there are signs that say, by parking you agree to these terms, which gives them the ability to bill you for breach of contract. Modern parking ticket dodging in Finland is all about claiming that someone else was driving your car at the time, and therefore you cannot be liable. Then they are going to have to prove that you parked the car there, or find the one who didn't bill them, and you don't have to help them find the other driver either. There are some things like that here in the US, but it's very regional. I know downtown in my city, you can get a ticket from like American Parking or some bullshit. They're a real company, but they have no legal right to send your debt to collections. So if you get one, just laugh at it. How they did you is the urgent notice with a late fee if you don't pay. Scares people into paying $15. I got a letter in the mail with a picture of my car parked in a spot that says no parking between 7 AM to 5 PM, and it was clearly dark out, much past 5 PM. They said I parked on private property and I'm required to pay them $200 within 10 business days, or they are going to repossess my car and my fine will double. It's been 3 years and I have a new car. They never repossessed it, and I have yet to see any consequences. Private companies can threaten you all they want, but realistically they can't really do anything. My mother would just find a different cult to join. Edit. She is a Scientologist. I'm sure if a different cult made her feel important she would jump to that one in a heartbeat. Is she in the market for one? I was thinking of starting one up. What is her stance on religious orgies and poison Kool-Aid? Sounds interesting. How do I sign up? See? It's working already. The orgies sell it pretty well. Plus in today's economic climate, poison Kool-Aid actually doesn't look half bad as a retirement plan. There's other retirement options. Being turned into a BO computer and used to save costs and increase profits for your company. Hope you like really out of date versions of Windows.